The dust cloud rose high into the orange sky as the massive drilling machine broke through another layer of ancient rock. Commander Zex wiped the sweat from his blue-tinted forehead and checked his scanner again. 3 months they had been digging, on this dead planet, and all they had found were old stones and empty caves. "Sir, you need to see this," called out Dr. Mira from her position near the main drill. Her voice carried a strange excitement that made Zex's 4 arms tingle with anticipation. The Zephyrian exploration team had been sent to planet Kepler 442c to search for rare metals. Their homeworld needed new sources of power, and the long-range scanners had shown promising signs on this forgotten rock floating in space. But what Dr. Mira was pointing at on her screen made no sense at all. "The drill hit something solid," she explained, her large eyes reflecting the green glow of her instruments. "But it's not natural rock or metal. Look at these readings." Zex leaned over her shoulder, studying the strange patterns on the display. The underground scanner showed straight lines and perfect angles buried deep beneath the surface. Nature didn't create such perfect shapes. Only intelligent beings could build something like this. "How deep?" Zex asked, his voice barely a whisper. 2 kilometers down, maybe more. "And sir, whatever this is, it's huge. The scanner can't find the edges." The other team members gathered around, their excitement growing. In all their years of exploring dead worlds, they had never found anything like this. The Zephyrian people knew of many alien races across the galaxy, but none had ever built anything on this remote planet. "Could it be Vaxan ruins?" asked Tech, the youngest member of their team. The Vaxans were known for their underground cities, but they had never traveled this far from their home systems. Dr. Mira shook her head. "The metal composition is all wrong. This isn't Vaxan work or anything else in our databases. Whatever race built this, we've never met them before." Zex made his decision quickly. "Pack up the mining equipment. We're switching to archaeological mode. I want a full excavation team down here by tomorrow morning." The next day brought 3 more ships from the Zephyrian home fleet. Archaeologists, engineers, and scientists filled the dig site with excited chatter and humming machines. The excavation moved slowly but steadily, each layer of rock revealing more of the mysterious structure below. Dr. Kayla, the lead archaeologist, supervised every step. She had spent her life studying ancient civilizations, but nothing had prepared her for what they were uncovering. The buried structure seemed to be made of a metal that their scanners couldn't identify. It showed no signs of rust or damage despite being buried for thousands of years. "The construction is incredible," Dr. Kayla reported to Commander Zex. "Every joint is perfect, every surface smooth as glass. Whoever built this had technology far beyond anything we've seen." On the 3rd day of excavation, they found the first entrance. It was a circular opening sealed with what looked like a solid wall of the same strange metal. But as their lights hit the surface, symbols began to glow softly around the edges. "It's responding to us," whispered Tech, his voice full of wonder. The symbols were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They seemed to flow and change as if they were alive. Dr. Mira set up her translation computers, trying to make sense of the glowing marks. "There's a pattern here," she said after hours of work. "I think these symbols are some kind of warning or greeting, but the language is completely unknown." As they studied the symbols, the sealed entrance suddenly began to change. The metal surface rippled like water, then slowly dissolved away, revealing a dark tunnel that stretched down into the earth. Cool air flowed out, carrying a strange scent that none of them recognized. "The atmosphere is safe," reported their environmental specialist after running quick tests. "Actually, it's perfect for us to breathe, almost like whoever built this knew we were coming." Commander Zex felt a chill run down his spine. "That's impossible. This place has been buried for thousands of years." But the evidence was right in front of them. The tunnel was clearly designed for beings similar to themselves in size and needs. Emergency lighting flickered on as they approached, illuminating smooth walls that curved gently downward. "Sir," Dr. Kayla called from her position at the entrance, "I'm reading massive energy signatures below. Whatever this place is, it's still active." The team prepared their equipment and began the descent. The tunnel was long and straight, leading them deeper underground than any of them had ever been. The walls were covered with more of the flowing symbols, all glowing softly in the darkness. After an hour of walking, they reached a vast chamber that took their breath away. The ceiling stretched so high above them that their lights couldn't reach it. Rows of strange rectangular objects filled the enormous space, each one the size of a small vehicle. "My scanner shows over 10,000 of these objects," Dr. Mira reported, her voice echoing in the huge chamber. "They're arranged in perfect lines like some kind of storage facility." As they moved closer to examine the rectangular objects, more lights came on automatically. The chamber was revealed to be even larger than they had thought, stretching away into the distance beyond their sight. "Look at this," called Dr. Kala from near one of the objects. "There's a window or viewing panel here." The team rushed over to see what she had found. Through a clear panel on the top of the rectangular object, they could see inside. What they saw made them all step back in shock. A creature lay inside, perfectly preserved and clearly alive, but not moving. It looked almost like a Zephyrian, but with only 2 arms and strange pale skin. Its face was peaceful, as if it were simply sleeping. "It's in some kind of suspended animation," Dr. Mira said, checking her scanner. "All life signs are present, but extremely slow. This being has been asleep for a very long time." They moved from object to object, finding the same thing in each one. Thousands of these unknown beings, all sleeping in their strange containers. Each one was slightly different, with variations in size, skin color, and facial features. "Who are they?" Tech asked the question they were all thinking. Dr. Kayla was studying the symbols on the side of one container when she made a discovery that changed everything. "I think I can read some of these symbols now. This word here, it appears on many of the containers. If I'm right, it says human. The word meant nothing to any of them. No race called human existed in any of their records, but here were thousands of them, sleeping in this hidden chamber beneath the surface of a dead world. How long have they been here?" Commander Zex asked. Dr. Mira consulted her instruments. "Based on the sediment layers above us and the radioactive decay in the rocks, I'd estimate at least 12,000 years. Maybe more. 12,000 years. These humans had been sleeping longer than Zephyrian civilization had existed. They were older than any known race in the galaxy, yet no one had ever heard of them. As the team continued their exploration, they found more chambers filled with sleeping humans. They found vast rooms filled with strange machines and devices they couldn't understand. They found libraries of information stored in ways their computers couldn't read. But the biggest discovery was yet to come. As they reached the deepest part of the facility, they found a chamber different from all the others. This one wasn't filled with sleeping humans. Instead, it contained something that glowed with its own light and hummed with barely contained energy. "Commander," Dr. Kayla called, her voice filled with awe and fear. "I think we've found the control center, and something is waking up." The glowing object in the control chamber pulsed like a living heart. Commander Zex ordered his team to stay back while Dr. Mira set up her scanning equipment. The energy readings were unlike anything they had ever seen, fluctuating in patterns that seemed almost like breathing. "It's definitely artificial," Dr. Mira reported, her instruments humming as they tried to analyze the strange device. "But the technology is completely foreign. I can't even tell what it's made of." As if responding to their presence, the device began to glow brighter. Suddenly, a voice filled the chamber, speaking in a language none of them understood. But even as they listened, the words began to change, shifting and adapting, until they became clear Zephyrian speech. "Welcome, visitors. I am Guardian Protocol 7. You have awakened me from a very long sleep." The team looked around in amazement. The voice seemed to come from everywhere at once, warm and friendly but obviously artificial. It was an artificial intelligence, but more advanced than anything the Zephyrians had ever created. "You can understand us?" Dr. Kayla asked, stepping forward cautiously. "I am learning your language as we speak," the Guardian replied. "My systems have analyzed your speech patterns and biological markers. You are not the species I was expecting, but you are clearly intelligent and peaceful. My name is easier for you to pronounce as simply Guardian." Commander Zex found his voice. "Guardian. We are explorers from the Zephyrian Republic. We found this place buried under rock and came to investigate. Who built all this? Who are the sleeping people in those containers?" A pause filled the chamber, and the Guardian's light dimmed slightly. "The sleepers are humans, the last survivors of a great civilization. I have been watching over them for 12,437 of your years. You are the first visitors we have had in all that time." "Where did they come from?" Dr. Mira asked. "We have no record of humans in our galactic databases." "That is by design," Guardian explained. "My people chose to hide themselves from the galaxy long ago. What you have found is one of 47 seed ships scattered across this region of space. Each contains a fragment of humanity, waiting for the right time to awaken." Dr. Kayla's scientific mind raced with questions. Why did they hide? What happened to their civilization? The chamber around them suddenly came alive with holographic displays. Images filled the air, showing star systems and planets that none of them recognized. They saw great cities floating in space, ships that moved between stars like they were crossing a river, and billions of humans living on thousands of worlds. Humanity spread across the galaxy many thousands of years ago, Guardian explained, as the images shifted and changed. We were explorers, scientists, builders. We created wonders that still exist today, though most races who find them don't know who built them. The images showed incredible technologies, cities that hung in space without any visible support, machines that could reshape entire planets, weapons that could destroy stars themselves. But with great power came great responsibility, Guardian continued. Humanity realized that we had become too powerful, too dangerous. We could have ruled the galaxy easily, but we chose not to. Instead, we decided to step back and let younger races grow and develop on their own. Commander Zex stared at the holographic displays. You're saying humans were more advanced than any current galactic civilization? By far, Guardian replied, without pride or boasting, simply stating a fact. Your fastest ships travel at a significant fraction of light speed. Ours could cross the galaxy in days. Your computers can process millions of calculations per second. Ours could simulate entire universes. Your weapons can destroy cities. Ours could unravel the fabric of space itself. The implications were staggering. Dr. Mira found herself shaking as she processed what they were learning. If humans were so powerful, why hide? Why not help younger races develop faster? The holographic displays changed again, showing darker images. Wars between different human factions. Worlds burned to ash. Entire star systems left empty and dead. Because we learned that rapid advancement without wisdom leads to destruction, Guardian said sadly. Humanity nearly destroyed itself several times. We realized that each race must find its own path to wisdom. We could give you advanced technology, but we couldn't give you the maturity to use it responsibly. So you just disappeared? Tech asked, his young voice full of wonder. We implemented the Great Withdrawal, Guardian explained. Most humans left this galaxy entirely, seeking new frontiers in distant regions of space. Others, like the ones sleeping here, chose to remain hidden, waiting and watching. Dr. Kayla studied the sleeping humans in their containers through the chamber's viewing screens. What were they waiting for? For the galaxy to mature. For younger races to develop their own wisdom and responsibility. For the time when humanity could return without overwhelming or destroying the delicate balance of galactic civilization. Commander Zex felt a chill of understanding. And you think that time is now? Perhaps, Guardian replied. Your people have achieved interstellar travel without destroying yourselves. You explore peacefully rather than conquering. You show curiosity about other races rather than fear or hatred. These are good signs. The holographic displays showed current star maps, with markers indicating the locations of all known galactic civilizations. The Zephyrians, the Vaxsuns, the crystal-based Sithari, and dozens of other races, all spread across a tiny fraction of the galaxy. But you are not the only ones developing, Guardian warned. My sensors detect other expeditions heading toward this world. Some seek knowledge, like you. Others seek power or resources. The galaxy is changing, and humanity may need to choose whether to remain hidden or step forward once again. Dr. Mira looked up from her instruments. Guardian, the sleeping humans could survive being awakened after all this time? The stasis technology is perfect, Guardian assured her. Each human could be awakened at any time with no ill effects. They would be exactly as they were when they went to sleep 12,000 years ago, with all their knowledge and memories intact. What kind of knowledge? Dr. Kayla asked. The chamber filled with new displays showing libraries of information, scientific formulas, star charts, and cultural records. Everything. The complete accumulated knowledge of human civilization. Science, technology, art, philosophy, medicine, engineering. Enough information to advance your entire civilization by thousands of years in a single generation. The team stood in stunned silence. They had come looking for simple mining resources and instead found something that could change the entire galaxy. Guardian, Commander Zex said carefully, if we report this discovery, what happens next? That depends on your people, Guardian replied. And on you. I have been analyzing your conversations and behavior since you arrived. You show wisdom beyond your years of development. You ask about consequences, not just possibilities. You worry about responsibility, not just power. So, what are our choices? Dr. Mira asked. You can reseal this facility and report finding nothing but empty rock. The humans will continue to sleep, and the galaxy will develop as it has been. Or you can choose to awaken a small group of humans to serve as ambassadors, beginning the process of reintegration. Dr. Kayla felt the weight of the decision pressing down on them. What would awakened humans do? They would share their knowledge slowly and carefully, only as fast as each race could handle it responsibly. They would teach, not rule. Guide, not command. But their presence would change everything. The Guardian's light pulsed thoughtfully. However, I must warn you, once the first humans are awakened, there is no going back. Other hidden facilities will activate. Other Guardians will begin preparing for humanity's return. The galaxy will know that humans exist again. Commander Zex looked at his team. Each of them understood the magnitude of what they faced. They had the power to reshape galactic civilization or leave it to develop naturally. How long do we have to decide? He asked. My sensors indicate that the other expeditions heading toward this world will arrive within 10 of your days, Guardian replied. After that, the choice may be taken from your hands. The chamber fell silent, except for the soft humming of the ancient machines. 12,000 years of human sleep was about to end, one way or another. The only question was whether the Zephyrians would be the ones to decide how it happened. Commander Zex spent the night staring at the star-filled sky above the dig site. His team had set up camp on the surface while they considered their impossible decision. Below them, thousands of humans slept in their ancient containers, waiting for someone to decide their fate. Dr. Kayla found him there as the twin suns began to rise. You're thinking about the responsibility, she said, settling down beside him on the rocky ground. 12,000 years, Zex replied quietly. They've been waiting 12,000 years for someone like us to find them. What if we make the wrong choice? What if we make the right one? Dr. Kayla countered. Guardian said they were teachers, not conquerors. Maybe the galaxy needs teachers. Dr. Mira joined them, carrying her portable scanner. I've been studying the Guardian's data all night, she said. The humans had solutions to problems we haven't even discovered yet. Climate restoration, disease elimination, peaceful energy sources that could power entire star systems. But they also had weapons that could destroy those same star systems, Zex reminded her. Power like that has to be earned, not given. Tech appeared from the direction of the camp, looking excited despite the early hour. Commander, you need to see this. Guardian has been showing us more of the human archives. They followed the young explorer back down into the facility. The control chamber was now filled with holographic displays showing human history. Guardian's voice welcomed them back. I thought you should see how humanity faced similar decisions in their past, Guardian explained. Perhaps it will help you understand why we chose the path we did. The displays showed early human civilization on their home planet, Earth. Zex watched in fascination as primitive humans learned to make fire, develop agriculture, and build their first cities. But what interested him most was how they handled their own technological development. Your people had a concept called the nuclear age, Guardian explained. When humans first learned to split atoms for energy and weapons, they could have used this power to dominate their world completely. The images showed massive explosions and devastated cities. Some tried, Guardian continued, but wise leaders emerged who chose cooperation over domination. They created laws and treaties to control the dangerous technology. They governed themselves, Dr. Kayla observed. Exactly. And when they reached space, they faced the same choice again. They could have conquered every world they found, enslaved every race they met. Their technology was advancing so fast that they became like gods compared to other species. New images showed humans exploring space, meeting alien races, sharing technology and knowledge. But there were also darker scenes of conflicts and misunderstandings. The galaxy wasn't ready for us, Guardian said sadly. Younger races either worshipped us as gods or feared us as demons. They couldn't see us as simply another people trying to find their way. Our presence prevented them from developing their own unique solutions to problems. Commander Zex understood. So you withdrew to let them grow up. It was the hardest decision in human history, Guardian replied. To have the power to solve every problem, heal every world, and choosing instead to step back and let others find their own answers. Dr. Mira studied the holographic records. But some humans stayed behind in these hidden facilities. Why? Because we knew that someday the younger races would face challenges they couldn't handle alone. Wars that could destroy entire star systems, plagues that could wipe out whole civilizations, natural disasters beyond imagination. When that time came, humanity would need to be ready to help. The chamber's displays changed to show current galactic conditions. Zex saw familiar star maps, but with troubling new details. "What are those red markers?" he asked. "Potential crisis points," Guardian explained. "My long-range sensors detect several developing situations that could threaten galactic stability. The Mordak Empire is testing planet-killer weapons. The Hive Queen is expanding aggressively into neutral space, and there are signs of something stirring in the galactic core that could be even worse." Dr. Kayla felt a chill of fear. "You're saying the galaxy is heading toward major conflicts?" "Possibly. The period of peaceful expansion and development may be ending. Younger races are reaching the point where they have dangerous technology, but haven't yet learned the wisdom to use it responsibly." Tech looked confused. "But that's exactly what happened to humans, right? Why didn't they learn from your example?" "Because they don't know we exist," Guardian replied patiently. "Each race must learn these lessons for themselves, or the knowledge is meaningless. You can't teach someone wisdom by simply telling them facts." The displays showed detailed analyses of various galactic civilizations. The Zephyrians were marked in green, indicating stable development. Many others were yellow, showing potential for both positive and negative outcomes. Several were marked in red. "The choice you face," Guardian continued, "is whether to let events unfold naturally, with all the risks that entails, or to allow humanity to begin sharing its hard-earned wisdom." Commander Zex studied the displays carefully. "If we choose to awaken some humans, what exactly would happen?" "I would activate a carefully planned reintegration protocol," Guardian replied. "First, a small group of diplomats and teachers would be awakened. They would make contact with major galactic governments and begin the process of revealing humanity's existence." "How many people are we talking about?" Dr. Mira asked. "Initially, perhaps 50 individuals from this facility alone, experts in various fields, all chosen for their wisdom and patience. They would work slowly, carefully, never forcing their knowledge on anyone who wasn't ready to receive it." Dr. Kayla had been studying the sleeping humans through the chamber's viewing screens. "These 50 people, they're volunteers?" "Every human in stasis volunteered for this mission," Guardian confirmed. "They gave up their lives in human civilization to serve as bridges between their people and the younger races. They've been waiting 12,000 years for the chance to help. The weight of that sacrifice struck them all. 50 people who had chosen to sleep for 12 millennia, trusting that someday they would be needed." "Guardian," Zex said slowly, "you mentioned other expeditions coming here. Who are they?" The holographic displays shifted to show approaching spacecraft. Vaxxon archaeological teams, interested in ancient technology. Mordak scouts, probably. Looking for weapons, and a Hive Queen probe ship, purpose unknown. "When will they arrive?" Dr. Mira asked. "The Vaxxon ships will reach this system in 8 days. The others will follow within hours." Tech looked worried. "What happens if the Mordaks find this place?" Guardian's tone became serious. "The Mordak Empire has been seeking advanced weapons to use against their enemies. If they discover human military technology, they could become unstoppable. The delicate balance of galactic power would be destroyed." Dr. Kayla understood the implications immediately. "And if the Hive Queen finds the stasis technology, she could adapt it to create massive armies that never tire, never age, never question orders. Her expansion across the galaxy would become inevitable." Commander Zex felt the walls of the chamber pressing in around him. "So our choice isn't really whether to awaken the humans. It's whether we awaken them or someone else does." "That is correct," Guardian confirmed. "The age of human hiding is ending, whether we choose it or not. The only question is whether humanity's return begins with wisdom or with chaos." The holographic displays faded, leaving them in the soft glow of the chamber's basic lighting. Around them, the ancient machines hummed quietly, keeping thousands of humans alive in their artificial sleep. "How long do we have to decide?" Zex asked. "I would recommend no more than 2 days," Guardian replied. "If you choose to begin the awakening protocol, I need time to prepare the selected individuals and establish secure communications with human settlements in other galaxies." "Doctor," Mira looked up sharply, "there are active human settlements in other galaxies?" "Oh yes," Guardian said, with what sounded like a smile in its voice. "Humanity didn't simply disappear. We built new civilizations beyond the reach of this galaxy's younger races. Magnificent cities among the stars, worlds terraformed into gardens, art and science beyond imagination. But we've been waiting for word that this galaxy was ready for our return." The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't extinct or diminished. They had been growing and advancing for 12,000 years while staying hidden. If they chose to return in force, no power in the galaxy could stop them. "Guardian," Commander Zex said finally, "I need to speak with my team privately. Can you give us some time?" "Of course. I will be here when you're ready to decide." The chamber fell silent as the team filed out, leaving behind the sleeping humans and their ancient guardian. In just a few hours, they would need to make a choice. That would change the galaxy forever. The team gathered around their portable camp table on the surface, the weight of their decision hanging heavy in the air. Commander Zex had called for a formal discussion, but none of them seemed to know where to begin. "Let's start with what we know for certain," Dr. Kayla said, breaking the silence. "Humanity exists, they're incredibly advanced, and they've been hiding for 12,000 years. And they're not alone," Dr. Mira added, consulting her notes. Guardian mentioned active settlements in other galaxies. "We're not dealing with the last survivors of a dead civilization. We're dealing with a thriving species that chose to leave." Tech raised his hand like a student in class. "I still don't understand why they left. If they were so advanced, why not just share their technology and help everyone?" Dr. Kayla had been thinking about that all night. "Because rapid advancement without earned wisdom is dangerous. Look at our own history. When the Zephyrians first developed spaceflight, what did we do? We fought 3 wars over mining rights," Zex admitted reluctantly. "Exactly. And we were relatively peaceful compared to some species. Imagine if humans had given us their technology back then. We might have destroyed half the galaxy before learning to control ourselves." Dr. Mira nodded thoughtfully. "Guardian said each race needs to find its own path to wisdom. You can't teach someone to be responsible by handing them power." "But people are going to die while we're learning," Tech protested. "Guardian showed us those crisis points. Wars, plagues, disasters. Humans could prevent all of that." "Could they?" Zex asked quietly. "Or would their intervention just create different problems? What happens to a species that never has to solve its own challenges?" Before anyone could answer, Dr. Mira's communicator buzzed with an urgent signal. "Commander, this is the Orbital Watch. We're detecting multiple ships approaching the system." Zex activated his own communicator. "How many ships and whose?" 3 Vaxxan archaeological vessels arriving ahead of schedule. "But sir, there's something else. We're picking up energy signatures that don't match any known technology." The team exchanged worried glances. "Guardian did say there were other expeditions coming," Dr. Kayla said. They hurried back down into the facility, finding the control chamber alive with activity. Guardian's holographic displays showed real-time images of the approaching ships. "The IB situation has changed," Guardian announced as they entered. "One of the approaching vessels is not what it appears to be." The display focused on a ship that looked like a standard Vaxxan explorer, but as Guardian's sensors analyzed it more closely, the truth became apparent. "Mordak infiltrators," Guardian explained. "They've disguised their ship and are probably planning to eliminate the Vaxxan teams once they've learned what's here." Commander Zex felt his blood turn cold. The Mordaks were known for their ruthless tactics. If they discovered the human facility, they would either try to steal the technology or destroy it to prevent others from having it. "How long until they arrive?" Dr. Mira asked. 16 hours, Guardian replied. "But I must tell you something else. My attempts to analyze the 3rd ship have triggered automated responses from other hidden facilities. New displays appeared, showing star maps with dozens of blinking lights scattered across the galaxy. Other Guardian protocols are activating," Guardian explained. "The network of hidden human outposts is waking up." Dr. Kayla stared at the display in amazement. "There are that many hidden facilities? 47 in this galaxy alone." Guardian confirmed. "Each one contains different aspects of human civilization. Some hold scientists and teachers, others hold historians and artists. A few contain military specialists, though those are sealed with much stronger protocols." "Military specialists?" Zex asked nervously. "Humans learned that sometimes peaceful solutions are not possible," Guardian explained. "When faced with truly aggressive species that won't respond to diplomacy, more direct action becomes necessary." The implications were disturbing. If humanity had been watching the galaxy for 12,000 years, they must have detailed information about every species, every government, every military capability. "Guardian," Dr. Mira said slowly. "Exactly how much do you know about current galactic affairs?" "Everything," Guardian replied simply. "We have been observing and recording continuously. I know the personal histories of every major political leader, the capabilities of every military force, the location of every strategic resource." "That's..." Tech started, then stopped, overwhelmed by the scope of what he was hearing. "That's terrifying," Dr. Kayla finished for him. "It was necessary," Guardian explained patiently. "How else could we determine when the galaxy was ready for our return? We needed to understand not just technological development, but social, political, and moral development as well." Commander Zex realized they were dealing with something far beyond what they had imagined. "Guardian, if humans know everything about us, What stops them from simply taking control whenever they want? The same thing that stopped them 12,000 years ago, Guardian replied. Wisdom. The understanding that ruling others against their will ultimately corrupts both the ruler and the ruled. New alarms began sounding throughout the facility. Guardian's displays shifted to show emergency readings. What's happening? Dr. Mira asked, checking her own instruments. The approaching Mordak vessel has just changed course, Guardian announced. They're accelerating directly toward this world and transmitting on military frequencies. The holographic display showed the disguised ship shedding its false appearance, revealing the angular, aggressive lines of a Mordak warship. They know we're here, Zex said grimly. Worse than that, Guardian replied. They've identified this as a significant archaeological site and are calling for reinforcements. I'm detecting at least a dozen Mordak ships changing course toward this system. Dr. Kayla felt panic rising in her chest. How long until the first ship arrives? 8 hours, Guardian said. And Commander Zex, I must inform you that my analysis of Mordak communication patterns suggests they plan to eliminate all non-Mordak personnel they find here. The weight of the situation crashed down on them. They weren't just deciding whether to awaken sleeping humans anymore. They were in immediate danger, and their choices would determine not only their own fate but potentially the fate of galactic civilization. Guardian, Zex said, his command training taking over. What are our options? I can protect this facility from conventional weapons, Guardian replied. The human defensive systems are still functional, but a prolonged siege would eventually breach our defenses. Can you call for help from the active human settlements? Yes, but it would take time for them to arrive. Days, possibly weeks. Dr. Mira looked up from her instruments. What about the humans sleeping here? Could any of them help if we awakened them? Guardian paused, and for the first time since they had met it, the artificial intelligence seemed uncertain. There are military specialists among the sleepers, veterans of the last human conflicts before the withdrawal. But awakening them would mean committing to full reintegration. As opposed to what? Tech asked. As opposed to letting the Mordaks discover human technology and potentially destabilize the entire galaxy, Guardian replied. Commander Zex looked around at his team. Dr. Kayla was pale, but determined. Dr. Mira was checking and rechecking her equipment, preparing for whatever came next. Young Tech looked scared, but resolute. Guardian, Zex said finally, if we choose to awaken some of the humans, what exactly happens? I begin the revival process immediately, Guardian replied. Emergency protocols allow me to awaken military personnel in under 4 hours. They would be able to assess the situation and take appropriate action. Appropriate action meaning what? Exactly? Guardian's tone became very serious. Commander, you must understand, these humans have been asleep for 12,000 years, but they went to sleep as veterans of conflicts that spanned star systems. They are not diplomats or teachers. They are soldiers who volunteered to sleep until they were needed to protect something important. The meaning was clear. If they awakened human military personnel, the Mordak threat would be eliminated, but humanity's secret return to the galaxy would begin with violence, not wisdom. How many Mordak ships did you say were coming? Dr. Kayla asked quietly. At least 12, possibly more, Guardian replied. And once they broadcast their discovery, others will follow. Zex realized that the choice had been made for them. They could try to hide and hope the Mordaks didn't find anything important, but Guardian had already made it clear that wouldn't work. They could try to fight with their own limited weapons, but a small archaeological team couldn't stand against Mordak warships, or they could wake up humanity's sleeping guardians and trust that 12,000 years of wisdom would guide their actions. Guardian, Commander Zex said, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what he was about to say. Begin the awakening protocol. The moment Commander Zex spoke those words, the entire facility came alive with purpose. Systems that had been dormant for 12 millennia activated in perfect sequence. The gentle hum of the stasis chambers changed to a more urgent rhythm as Guardian began the careful process of awakening humanity's sleeping guardians. Revival process initiated, Guardian announced, its voice now carrying new authority. Military personnel awakening sequence engaged. Estimated time to full consciousness, 3 hours, 47 minutes. Dr. Kayla watched through the viewing windows as the stasis chambers began their work. The sleeping humans showed no outward signs of change yet, but the displays on each container showed rapidly shifting patterns of activity. What exactly are we waking up? She asked, suddenly aware that they might have just unleashed something beyond their control. The military complement of this facility consists of 12 individuals, Guardian explained. They are not warriors, in the traditional sense. They are protectors, chosen for their wisdom as much as their combat experience. New holographic displays appeared, showing personnel files for each of the awakening humans. Commander Zek studied them with growing amazement. These weren't young soldiers, but mature individuals with decades of experience in leadership, strategy, and conflict resolution. Captain Sarah Chen, Guardian began, highlighting one of the files. Former commander of humanity's Deep Space Patrol, Fleet, specialist in first contact protocols and defensive strategy. Major James Rodriguez, expert in alien psychology and non-lethal conflict resolution, veteran of the Centauri peace negotiations. Dr. Elena Volkov, military scientist and weapons specialist, primary designer of humanity's defensive technologies. The list continued, each human bringing unique skills that seemed perfectly suited to their current situation. But what struck Zex most was that every one of them had been involved in peaceful solutions to conflicts, not just military victories. Guardian, Dr. Mira said, studying her scanners. The Mordak ships are getting closer. 7 hours until the first one arrives. Understood, Guardian replied. I am also detecting increased communication traffic between the approaching vessels. They are coordinating a systematic search of this world. Tech looked worried. Can't we just hide until they leave? Negative, Guardian said firmly. My sensors indicate they are using deep core scanning technology. They will locate this facility within hours of beginning their search. The weight of inevitability settled over them. There was no going back now. In a few hours, humans would be awake and active in the galaxy for the first time in 12,000 years. Guardian, Commander Zek said, I need to contact my ship and warn them about the incoming Mordak fleet. I would advise against using standard communication channels, Guardian replied. The Mordaks are monitoring all transmissions. However, I can establish a secure link using human technology. Suddenly, Zex's communicator activated with crystal-clear reception, far better than his own equipment should have been capable of. His ship's captain responded immediately. Commander, we've been trying to reach you for hours. Our sensors are showing massive energy readings from your location. Captain, listen carefully, Zex said. We have a situation down here that's bigger than anything we've encountered before. Mordak warships are approaching this system, and they're not here for peaceful archaeology. Mordaks? Sir? Our sensors don't show any Mordak ships. Guardian's voice came through the communicator with perfect clarity. Captain, this is Guardian Protocol 7. I am transmitting current tactical data to your systems now. Zex heard his captain's sharp intake of breath as the information reached his ship. Commander, these readings show at least 12 heavy cruisers incoming. We're just an exploration vessel. We can't fight that kind of force. I know, Captain, but we may not be alone in this fight. Guardian activated new displays showing the awakening humans. In the first stasis chamber, Captain Sarah Chen was beginning to show signs of consciousness. Her eyes moved beneath closed lids, and her breathing was becoming stronger and more regular. The first human will be fully conscious in approximately 30 minutes, Guardian announced. However, I should warn you all. After 12,000 years of sleep, there will be a period of disorientation and adjustment. Dr. Kayla had been studying the human medical readings. Guardian, will they remember their previous lives? Their training? Completely, Guardian assured her. Human stasis technology preserves not just the body, but all memories and learned skills. Captain Chen will awaken with full knowledge of her 47 years of military experience. But the galaxy has changed completely since she went to sleep, Dr. Mira pointed out. I will brief them on current conditions as soon as they are able to process the information, Guardian replied. My databases contain detailed records of everything that has occurred during their sleep. Alarms began sounding throughout the facility. Guardian's displays shifted to show new information. The lead Mordak vessel has entered the outer system, Guardian announced. They are transmitting demands for all ships in the area to surrender for inspection. Through his communicator, Zex heard his captain's tense response. Commander, they're demanding we prepare to be boarded. What are your orders? Before Zex could answer, a new voice filled the chamber. It was weak, but unmistakably human, speaking in a language none of them understood. In the nearest stasis chamber, Captain Sarah Chen's eyes had opened. English, Guardian said quickly. She's speaking English, the primary human language. I am adjusting my translation systems. The human woman sat up slowly in her chamber, her movements careful and deliberate. Her eyes found the viewing window and focused on the watching aliens with surprising calm. Guardian, she said, her voice growing stronger. Report. Captain Chen, welcome back, Guardian replied. 12,437 years have passed since you entered stasis. This facility has been discovered by a peaceful exploration team from the Zephyrian Republic. Captain Chen's gaze moved to study each of the watching aliens. Zex was surprised to see not suspicion or hostility in her eyes, but curiosity and assessment. "And the immediate tactical situation?" she asked. "Mordak forces approaching this system with apparent hostile intent. 12 heavy cruisers, arrival in 6 hours and 23 minutes. Captain Chen nodded as if she had been expecting something like this. "How many of our people are you awakening?" "Military complement of 12, plus diplomatic staff of 6. "Good. And our observers in the outer galaxies?" "Standing by for activation signal." Zex realized he was witnessing something historic. The first human to wake up in over 12 millennia was calmly discussing military strategy, as if she had only been asleep for a few hours. Captain Chen turned her attention to the Zephyrians. "I am Captain Sarah Chen, formerly of the Human Deep Space Fleet. Guardian tells me you are the ones who found us." Commander Zex stepped forward. "I am Commander Zex of the Zephyrian exploration vessel Starfinder. We were conducting archaeological surveys when we discovered your facility. And you chose to wake us rather than simply document the discovery and leave," Captain Chen observed. "Why?" "Because hostile forces are approaching, and Guardian indicated you might be able to help protect this place." Captain Chen smiled, and Zex was surprised by how warm and human the expression seemed. "Commander, I think you may have awakened more than you bargained for." She stepped out of her stasis chamber with fluid grace, despite having been motionless for 12,000 years. Her body showed no signs of the muscle atrophy or weakness that should have resulted from such long inactivity. "Guardian, show me current galactic conditions," she said. The chamber filled with holographic displays showing star maps, political boundaries, military capabilities, and threat assessments for every known civilization. Captain Chen studied the information for several minutes in complete silence. Zex watched her face as she processed 12,000 years of galactic development in moments. "Fascinating," she said finally. "The younger races have done quite well for themselves. Multiple stable civilizations, relatively peaceful expansion, technological development proceeding at sustainable rates." "Then why do you look concerned?" Dr. Kayla asked. Captain Chen's expression had indeed grown serious. "Because Guardian is right. The period of peaceful development is ending. These crisis points," she gestured to the red markers on the displays, "represent a fundamental shift toward aggressive expansion and resource competition." "Can it be stopped?" Tech asked hopefully. "Perhaps," Captain Chen replied, "but not through military force alone. The galaxy needs to remember how to choose cooperation over competition." Guardian's alarms sounded again. "Captain, the Mordak fleet has accelerated. First contact in 4 hours, 12 minutes. Captain Chen nodded calmly. "Then we had better get to work." She turned to Commander Zex with an expression that was both reassuring and slightly terrifying. "Commander, I want you to understand something. Humanity didn't go to sleep because we were weak or afraid. We went to sleep because we were too powerful, and we chose to wait until the galaxy was ready for us to help." "And you think it's ready now?" Zex asked. Captain Chen looked around at the ancient facility, at the sleeping humans still awakening in their chambers, at the alien beings who had chosen to wake them despite the risks. "I think," she said quietly, "that ready or not, the time for waiting is over."